Hello, beautiful people. Hope everybody's having a great week. I just want to say thank you guys very much for listening, watching, paying attention. Really appreciate your comments, your feedback, calls and texts. You guys are awesome. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And thank you guys for being so supportive. My reading assignment, I'm way behind on. I didn't finish my March book, and honestly, I'm only about a quarter of the way through it. It's kind of a difficult book to read. But I'll give you guys a progress report on that as I get further into it or try to get it finished. So let's get into it for this week. I got a couple things. One is I wanted to talk to you about something that's happened to me a couple times, and I don't know if it's happened to anybody else, but some of the best advice I ever got was somebody laughing in my face. And I know that sounds ridiculous, and I don't mean if somebody's ever laughed in your face to like ridicule you or shame you or anything like that, but somebody actually laughing in your face, like because you're being so ridiculous or your belief system is so far out of whack or something you say or do is just absurd, ridiculous, and that's what happened to me. And I'll give you a couple of examples, but if your belief system is not in line with reality, some of the best advice you'll ever get is somebody that's brave enough or courageous enough to laugh in your face and let you know how absolutely ridiculous and absurd you sound or seem or you're behaving. So hopefully you have people around you that care about you or love you that are willing to laugh in your face, and hopefully that registers with you. And it may hurt your feelings a little bit at first, but the reality is hopefully that helps you in the long run. Like I said, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how somebody laughing in my face at my absurdity actually helped me grow as a person. Because I instead of getting offended or getting hurt by it, I actually took it as a moment of like self-reflection and was like, oh, you know what, maybe this person has a point, maybe I am being ridiculous, maybe I'm being absurd, or maybe my belief system is out of whack with reality, or maybe not even aligned with my goals or what I'm trying to do. If I get sidetracked on something and I get going in this direction and somebody on this path laughs in my face, I'm like, whoa, wait, wait a minute. What have I done wrong here? This is not, I'm glad this person, even though they may have been trying to hurt my feelings, they actually made a statement or laughed at me in a way that I'm like, oh, okay, well, even though this person's mean or hateful, they may be right. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them is really minor. I was working years and years ago, my late teens, early 20s. I was working at a restaurant and I was cooking. Of course, there's servers, and me and a server got into some tiff over something, who knows what now at this point, but she went whining and crying to the manager, and of course the manager comes storming out, stomping his feet, all grouchy and grumpy at me, and I don't remember what comment he said to me, but I was really arrogant, really egotistical in that moment, and whatever he said to me, I was like, man, I don't care, this is my house. And he laughed in my face. And he should have. Like, I was being ridiculous. So it was so absurd for some 19 or 20-year-old kid to think that's cooking for like, I was probably making like $9 an hour, maybe probably like $8.50. I was making like $8.50 an hour cooking at a restaurant, and I thought so highly of myself that I was like the man of the house at this restaurant. Okay, so it was so absurd that this space I in my head that I thought I was so much more than I actually was, that I talked to people that way, and that's ridiculous and absurd. And I still remember that manager. I hope he's doing well. I mean, obviously he's never going to see this, but if I see him, hey man, hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing awesome. Thanks for laughing in my face, because I deserved it. And two, it really helped me recalibrate and restructure what my role was and what my responsibility was and who I was at the time. Like, I had no reason or no track record to have such an ego or to be thinking. I was absurd. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous for me to be thinking that way, and it was probably so much more worse than what came out of my mouth, what I was actually thinking, because so few of what actually goes through your head comes out your mouth. So whatever came out of my mouth, I was probably thinking 10 times worse than that in my head. So really grateful that guy laughed in my face, because it helped me recalibrate at that place and in that moment what I thought of myself, and especially in relation to other people, my coworkers and people that I work with every single day. Like, I thought I was hot stuff, and I wasn't. So it was a really good reminder to have somebody laugh in my face. So that was really, really good advice that, it wasn't meant to be advice, but I took it as that. And it really humbled me. And I say it really humbled me. It helped humble me. I was still an egomaniac for a long, long time. I probably still am in a lot of ways, but I got slightly better in that moment thanks to him. So if anybody ever laughs in your face, you might think twice about whether or not they're insulting you or whether or not that's actually a fair criticism of how you're acting in that moment. Another time, and this one probably changed the course of my life to a much more significant degree than that time. I grew up in a environment where hard work was really like the only option. You know, it was pretty much some sort of labor work, labor job, construction, roofing, mechanic, anything with your hands. That's pretty much, you know, the only option from our vantage point, our perspective was to, you know, get a good job with some big name company, try to get on board with a big company, or start your own business as, like I said, doing roofing, construction, mechanic work, anything like that. But the goal would have been to get with a big company and, you know, get a good schedule, get good pay, get some benefits, and pretty much work 40 or 50 years and then until you drop dead. Like that would have been like the height of a successful life coming from where I'm from. That's normal. That's just the way we are. So I grew up in that mindset of, hey, you know, you get a labor job. And I even ended up, like I said, working in restaurants as a cook. I ended up working in warehouses, things like that. But I was working at a smaller mom and pop type warehouse that did supplies for like aircraft companies and things like that. And we were like a regional company, but we were pretty small. And I'd been there about a year, and I was like, you know, I got full of myself. You know, I was good at this job, and I was one of the better employees there. And I was like, you know what, you know, whatever I was making at the time, you know, $9 or $10 an hour. I was like, oh, this isn't enough. I'm gonna go, you know, I'm gonna go get a better warehouse job at a better company and whatever, right? So I started looking online and found a bigger company hiring, and I set up an interview, went through all that. And just to give you an idea, the company was a Coca-Cola. So Coke Industries or Coca-Cola Industries or whatever it was called at the time. So I go to this interview, and I'm thinking, like, this is going to be a significant step in the direction I want to go to be more successful and have you know, a higher quality of life and a better life. Like I said, this would have been at the time like the peak of my potential based on where I come from and, you know, where we end up as a group and as a family unit. Like this would have been like the peak for me to get this job and work there for 40, 50 years. Like I said, with a decent schedule and benefits, and, you know, retire and drop dead. That would have been a successful career where I'm from. So I go to this interview, and I'm sitting in this lady's office, and she's super nice. You know, she's obviously working for a big company. She's professional. And I'm this, you know, some ignoramus, like early 20-something kid. And I'm in here, you know, telling this lady all these things I want to do with my life and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm going on and on. And she asked about my current job, and she's asking about what I want to, you know, where I want to go, where I want to be, what I want to do, all this kind of stuff. And after I get done rambling and spilling my guts to this lady about, you know, where I want to take my life and what I want to do, I'm not kidding you. This lady looks me dead in the face with like no hesitation whatsoever. And she's like, this is a warehouse job. And in that moment, like, I was just completely silent, blown away that this woman was like, gave me the clarity. Like she did everything but laugh in my face, but gave me the clarity in that moment. And I thanked her for her time. I got up and I left. And that moment, that interview, and that lady looking me dead in the face and saying, this is a warehouse job, I'm telling you 100% for a fact, it changed the course of my life. I realized that ceiling that was a very low ceiling, and there was very limited potential for me in that job, in that role. And she could not have said it more clearly. This is a warehouse job. What's the best possible warehouse job you could possibly have? That job's gonna have a ceiling. It's gonna have a maximum potential. Now, warehousing's changed over the past couple decades, and there is some really good, high-paying warehouse jobs, and lots of people work in warehousing, and it's a good stepping stone. And if you work your way up the ladder, you can make some really good money, really good benefits. But to me, there's still a ceiling on that. And for me, self-employment, there's no ceiling, and it's a lot different. There's different scenarios, there's different angles, but self-employment, there's no ceiling. So I realized that even if I had the best warehouse manager job in the country, I wasn't going to be satisfied with that. And that doesn't mean a warehouse manager is not a honorable job or a good profession or a good job to have with good pay, good benefits, all that stuff. I just realized it wasn't for me. So in that moment, that lady basically just telling me, like, just straight to my face, this is a warehouse job. Like, it kind of was humiliating in the moment, but it was, I mean, absolutely like a pivotal moment in my life when I realized, like, hey, you know what? There's something else out there for me. There's something else I want to do with my life, and it's outside of the walls of a warehouse building. And I know that lady's never going to see this, but if I ever somehow run into her, see her, I'm going to like thank her. I couldn't thank her enough. Like, it's just it's an amazing moment in my life that I look back on, and it 100% changed the course of my life. And I'm grateful for that lady to be so honest in that moment, because she didn't have to be. She could have just said, hey, I think she could have told me, hey, thanks for your time. Really appreciate you. We'll call you. She could have hired me. That would probably have been worse. You know how bad it would have been if I could have been stuck at that job for 50, 60 years. Okay, I'm not sure if you can still hear that train going by, but I tried to edit out the horn. But like I said, I can't tell you how pivotal, I can't even talk today. I can't tell you how pivotal of a moment that was for me. And like I said, how much worse it would have been if that woman would have just kept her mouth shut, bit her tongue, and hired me. Because I was qualified to the job. I probably would have been a great employee. I probably would have done a lot of work for them at a really high level. It would have been good for her to hire me. Like, and for whatever reason, something came out of her that was even better. And it didn't feel good at the time, but man, it was a wake-up call. And I'm grateful every day for that wake-up call. And I think about that interview a lot. So if anybody ever laughs in your face, if anybody says you're being absolutely absurd and ridiculous, or if you just feel out of place, if you just realize that you are hitting a wall or hitting a ceiling and you're not where you're supposed to be, maybe take a look in the mirror and laugh at yourself. Look at how ridiculous you are, and how you've structured your beliefs about what's possible for you and where you can and can't go and what you can and can't do for yourself. Because maybe somebody hasn't had the courage to laugh in your face or had the courage to tell you that this isn't for you. You may have to do some evaluation and look in the mirror and say, hey, is this for me? Is this the best I can do? Is this my ceiling? Is this where I want to be? And another thing I'll share with you is, if you're bored, you're definitely not it. If you're bored in whatever you're doing with your daily life, if you feel like you're dragging yourself through and you're fighting, Monday through Friday to get Saturday, Sunday, if you're fighting Monday through Saturday to get Sunday, if you spend most of your time at work on your phone or trying to distract yourself from your work, 100% you're not where you're supposed to be. If you're not engaged, if you're not in the moment all day, every day of trying to do better, be better, and make the best of the situation that's in front of you, you're not it. That is not where you're supposed to be. So I hope you figure that out and get going in the right direction soon. And if you want me to laugh in your face, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it. That's one of my favorite things to do. And then also, another thing I have on my notes is, recently somebody asked me, as a business owner, what is more challenging and what is more difficult, employees or customers? And I don't know that I gave that person a very clear answer, but I had some time to think about it and roll it around a little bit. And they're two very, very different things. And I'm not answering this as somebody of expertise or knowledge or wisdom. This is just from the experience that I've had being self-employed for as long as I have, and what I've learned along the way. So I'm not at all a perfect employer, and none of that. I'm just saying, from my experience, this is just what it looks like from my shoes right now today. This probably was different 6 months ago. It'll be different 6 months from now. But when I look at the difficulties and challenges and the differences between customers and employees, when I look at customers, customers will give you in my experience, customers will give you a more difficult time. They're a bigger challenge on the day-to-day. There's different aspects of customers as far as, you have to get customers to come to your business. That's a really hard thing to do. And then interacting with your customers, everybody's different. Everybody has a different personality. Everybody has different needs, wants. Everybody has a different budget. Everybody has a different timeline. We get to meet people that are in a good mood. We get to meet people that are in a bad mood. We get to meet people that are mad at everybody all the time. We get to meet people that are just not trusting. Maybe they're just used to getting taken advantage of. There's all sorts of people that we get to meet on a daily basis. And I think after being self-employed this long, I feel slightly more confident, and like I said, it's because of the experience. It's God willing that I'm able to do this for this long, because not very many people get to do what I get to do every single day, especially for long as I've been able to do it. So I'm grateful. And like I said, that's a blessing. And it's been a blessing, not because of my skill, but because God's blessed me with that. And I'm grateful for it. So of the experience that I have, I feel like putting all those days and weeks and months and years together, I feel a lot more confident that when somebody comes in the business, that I'm much better equipped to solve whatever the problem is. Even if it's a no-win situation where I happen to catch a person on the worst in the worst phase of their life, on the worst day of their life, in the worst possible case scenario, and they're in the worst mood. If I catch this person and today they're in the worst mood they're ever going to be in their entire life, I feel like I can handle that situation in a much better way than I could a couple years ago. But I feel like I can handle that situation and make it at least satisfactory enough where this person isn't going to come back and like burn the building down or cause another scene. I mean, we get people to say nasty things about us online, on different outlets. People will say nasty things about us. Some things we deserve and some things we don't, okay? But sometimes you just catch somebody on a bad day, and I feel like even if I catch somebody on their worst day of their life, I feel like I can at least try to make something good out of that moment, and I can make it at least satisfactory enough where this person at least stop spewing whatever bad thing is going on with them on us, and we can diffuse it, bring it down, or whatever the case is. Or and I feel the same way about any automotive repair problem. I feel like whatever automotive repair somebody's having that day, or automotive repair issue they're having that day, or problem with their car, I feel like we can solve that. In the furniture business, I feel like whatever problem we're having that day, I feel like I can solve it. I feel like if I'm talking with a reasonable person that is at least trying to be understanding of the situation, whether it's their car, their furniture, or whatever, or even if we've done a bad job, at least if they're trying to understand that I can tell you, hey, we've done a bad job here and let us do better. We'd like to do better. Please allow us to do better. If they're at least listening to those words, I feel like I can solve that problem. I feel like I can fix that situation, or at least make it satisfactory, where this person doesn't hate me or us forever, okay? And that doesn't always happen, but I feel like I'm capable of that. And the thing about that situation is, once that transaction's over, either this person's a customer for life or this person never comes back, and there's usually not a whole lot of gray area, and that's totally understandable. Sometimes you shake hands and go separate ways. Sometimes you shake hands and you become real good friends. I'm totally cool with it either way. But I feel like in those situations, once that bond is either made or that bond is broken, that situation's sort of over. So when it comes to customers, yes, they're difficult, and each one is different, and each one can be complicated, or each one can be, their own individual person, their own individual needs, and it's constantly changing every single day. There's, at the shop, we see 20 or 30 people a day. Some of them are returning customers, but it's a lot of new people every single day. 20 or 30 people a day, you're meeting new people. And at the furniture store, not quite as much foot traffic, but it's new people every single day. So yes, it's a challenge with the customer side, but for me, and again, this is just my experience, and other people probably feel differently. They might be better at this aspect of it than I am. It might be easier for them with the employees, and customers may be more challenging for them. But for me, it's the employees, and I kind of want to explain as best I can with the limited vocabulary that I have as to why I feel like the employees are a bigger challenge. With the employees, at some point, they're not employees. They're your friends. They're your family. They are people that you see more than you actually see your own family. These are people that you have more communication with verbally throughout the day. You eat more meals with these people. You go to events with these people. They know your personal life. You know their personal life. You have inside jokes. You have nicknames. I mean, this becomes a unit, and it's a tight knit group a lot of times. And you have trials and issues and problems you got to resolve and work through and get over. And part of that is as building the team is you have these issues because nobody's perfect. Everybody has issues. There's conflict of personalities. There's all these issues, but you work through that, and everybody can relate to that. As wherever you work, I'm sure you have good relationships and you have not so good relationships, and you have things that you do for other people that you don't do for others. But it becomes a family unit. You become more than just coworkers. You become a family, right? So the hardest part for me, and I probably can't explain this very well, is I have this defect, I have this flaw where I don't see people for who they are. I see people for who they can be. And I don't want to say who they should be, but who they can be. I see people for their potential. And I think that's sort of grown out of having so many people work around me and with me and for me, and doing so many job interviews and so many new hires and so many, we've had, hundreds. I've had hundreds of employees. We had 100 employees at one time. So you just get to know people in an intimate way. And when you're interviewing somebody and getting to know somebody, there's only limited information on their resume, and there's only limited information that they can tell you in an interview setting. And even whenever they first begin working, you learn these people a little bit over time, but you just start to pick up this sixth sense of what somebody's capable of. Not necessarily what they can do, not necessarily what their skill set is now, but you learn what they're capable of. And what I will say is the absolute hardest part for me is when I see how capable and how much potential somebody has, and they're not even reaching for it. They're not even going for it. And it could be for lots of different reasons. It could be for a ton of different reasons. It could be for they don't see it in themselves. They don't have the confidence. They don't have the belief. They don't want to. They think they're good enough, or they've done it this way for 8 years, and 8 years is, they've made it this far in 8 years, and this is good enough money, or this is a good enough job, or it's worked this long, so why change it? There's lots of reasons, okay? But it's so hard for me. It is the hardest thing, I think, every single day that I go through, is to work and be around people that I consider family, that I love dearly, and see them not even try, and again, that doesn't mean they're not working hard. That doesn't mean they're not showing up on time. That doesn't mean they don't, come in when they're not feeling good. It doesn't mean that they don't miss important things at home, or that they're not going through other things at home. It doesn't mean any of that. I promise you, I'm taking all of that stuff into consideration. It's so difficult to see people not reaching for their potential. I don't think anybody ever actually reaches their potential. I think that's an evolution that you have to go through every single day of your life. And at some point, most people just stop it. Some people stop early, and some people stop late, but everybody stops at some point. They stop growing, they stop learning, they stop developing, and they finally get to a point where they're just like, I made it, I'm here, I arrived. And it may not be a conscious thing, it may be subconscious, but they just get to a point where they're just fixed. They're just stuck. This is it. This is me. This is who I am. This is the car I want to drive. These are the clothes I want to wear. This is the job I want to have. These are the hours I want to work. This is the money I want to make. This is it. And they put their feet up and they coast. Okay, so it's hard for me to see people with so much potential not reach for it. And again, I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable, and it's difficult, and it's challenging to want to do more and want to be more. And like I said, a lot of people don't even see it in themselves. They don't see how capable of more they really are. And it's a shame. It's so hard, because how do I explain to somebody that they're worth so much more, that they can do so much more? And I've learned, it's so hard. I tried to force it on people before. I tried to make people become their potential and do more and reach for, like, hey, read this, hey, do this, hey, do, and I push people away. Try to make them be better, make them do more, and make them become something like that I can see that they're capable of. And all I did was push people away. And I finally had to stop. And then I was like, man, I stopped completely. And I felt like that was a bad thing, because I felt like I was letting them down. Now I'm not telling this person that's capable of more that they're capable of more. So I had to study on how to get somebody that I love to do more for them, not for me. And that's another thing, is that it's like this game you have to play where they think you're trying to make them work harder to make you money, when I'm really trying to make them better for themselves, because I know they're not going to work for me forever. I know that they're not going to be here. I know that they're going to go to another job or get another company, or they're going to start their own business. And I'm trying to give them the tools and the equipment, the skills and the knowledge and the experience and the service. Like, so whatever it is they go and do, they walk in, they're like, oh yeah, I can do this, bam, 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 bam. And they're like elite. They're like the best. They walk in the door and they're already at the top of the game versus everybody there, because they already know what they're doing. So I had to scale back on trying to force feed people. I read something somewhere where somebody said that it's nobody's interested in your newfound way of life. Like, my newfound way of life is trying to read and learn and grow and be better, and nobody's interested in that. I can't go around beating people over the head with, hey, you can do better, you can do better, you can do better, because sometimes people don't want to hear that. So I had to learn more and try to figure out better ways, to where now I just set something up for them to reach for. That's all I can do. Is like, hey, this is here if you want it, and I can't make you get it. I can't make you do it. If you're curious about what it is I did to get to this point, I'll help you. If there's something I can do to help you get here, I'm here. I'm a resource, but I can't make you go from here to here. You have to take this step. You have to go through the challenge. You have to go through the learning and the lessons and all that to get here. I can't make you want this, and I can't make you take this. So now I just make it available to them, and I can only hope that they go for it, that they reach for it, and they reach for their potential, because that's as simple as I can put it. Is if as a business owner I had to pick today what's more difficult, customers or employees, it's employees. And it's for that very reason, is that it's hard to watch people that you care very much about not reaching for their potential. So I know I ramble a whole lot. I think that's all I got for y'all tonight. So reach for your potential, because it's good for you. It's good for you. It's healthy for you. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you growing. There's so many benefits in it for it. It's beneficial for you. It's beneficial for your family. It's beneficial for the generations beneath you. I believe in my heart that there is a once in a generation person in your family, and I think most people watching this could look around their family and realize that it's them. You are that once in a generation person, and you have the ability to change not only your immediate family's life, but generations above and below you. And if you realize that you have that power, and again, I'm not trying to be rude, not trying to be mean, but you can look around your family and realize that some of them don't have a shot. They got no shot. You're the one. You are the one to change your entire family's lives. Your immediate family, your parents, your kids, your grandkids, like, you are the chosen one. And if you could only see that, I promise you, as soon as you see it, as soon as you understand it, you'll start putting in the work to make that happen. I promise you it's worth it. Do it, get after it, realize it's you. Don't be scared of that gift. That is a gift. I know it may sound scary at first, or you go into this why me phase. I think that's part of the cycle, is you go, why me, why me, why me? Or maybe you're already in that why me cycle. Well, I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why it's hard. I'm telling you why you have gifts that other people don't. I'm telling you why you see things that other people don't. I'm telling you why. If you're one of those people that always says, why me, why me, why me? I'm telling you right now, why you? Because you're the one. You're the chosen one, and it's you that can make the difference in your family for generations. I hope you do it. So I'm done rambling for tonight. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate the feedback. You guys are amazing. I love you, and y'all be good to each other. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.